Добрый день всем, еще раз здравствуйте. Мы на замечательном
Hello,
PhDs. Всем
everybody. You are visiting PhDs. Good day to everyone. And right now we're going to speak about incident investigations,
автоматизации расследования, о
automation of investigations, usage of AI. Maybe we're fantasizing,
Земли.
but we will try to be on the ground. Okay, Igor Zalesky, the head of JSOC Center from Rostelecom Savara.
Руководитель,
Oleg Skulkin, the head of the Department of Cyber Investigation from Bizon, and Renat Sagirev, the head of the Department of Monitoring and Reaction from the Informational Security Infosystem JET.
у нас
Hi.
есть перечень вопросов. Начнем
Okay, guys, we have a list of questions. Let's begin with the first question. Let's
форензики у
see.
нас. И каких
Not many forensic specialists, and which competencies are missing in the market right now in order to become a very good forensic specialist so that you would hire somebody for this position? Can you tell me, please, about this topic?
Давайте я начну.
Ну давай.
Okay, let me be the first one.
Наверное, главное для расследования
Well, the most important thing for the investigator is not the competency, but the experience. For us, for me personally, I think for everybody else,
человек, который
good investigator is a person who has a certain technical background, and it doesn't matter which one. Any engineering background, it can be a background with some line of monitoring. And as you can see from the experience in an investigation, everything is important. You can teach a person to find some artifact, to learn where to look for what. But if he will not be able to interpret it properly, and experience is interpretation, then most likely his competencies as forensic and investigator will be very weak. That's why, honestly speaking,
про то, что нам нужно
when we say that we have to educate and develop and train more forensics, I'm saying that these are people
не всегда
who
расследователи там
do not come directly to the investigator. Maybe they come from some other directions. And the key factor is what they've been doing previously and what else do they have as skills in their skill set. That's my answer. Oleg.
Нюанс.
Well, there's another important peculiarity. Forensics. We can have a lot of forensics, but they are different because one set of forensics, they can look through 1 million of emails trying to find some specific information in them. And other type of forensics do the incident investigation and they understand how attacks work, and therefore they on the basis of these artifacts, forensic artifacts, they can find in different sources. They can reconstruct this attack and help in stopping it, give some recommendations. So there are different forensics. And these forensics, and I will agree with Igor that this forensic, it may be not just forensic who initially was a forensic, but a person who understands what is to be done when attack happens and which attacks there are and how they develop. The person who knows what he should look at.
Такой технический
So we need some technical background so that people could do something with their hands. And
зрения хакера, как
from the point of view of hacker, how the hackers are operating and how does it look like from the side of the defender.
бы что-нибудь.
Ну, да.
Renat, what else can you say about that? Well, we've started very interesting. What specialists and which competencies are missing in the market?
В принципе,
Honestly, I would like to tell you that
безопасность не так.
informational security specialists are missing on the market. Generally speaking, we are trying to find this person for quite a period. Speaking about forensics person, would like to unite competencies of other technologies. Well, really, we need to look for some unicorn, and we're trying to find a person who at least would have understanding of at least one technology. For example, Windows. He knows everything about Windows,
Все, что около
or operation systems and everything around the Windows infrastructure. And then we can teach them to work with some additional topics like Linux, like other networks.
Ну понял. Ну,
Okay, I understand you.
середина, если в принципе.
So it's kind of a middle approach. If you will collect these opinions, then we'll have this unicorn type of a specialist.
начали.
Yeah, we've started very, very interesting. I have another question about the specialist
Нету
who
опыта.
doesn't have background, who doesn't have an experience of doing these investigations,
Как бы логика.
but he has a certain logic. He can give adequate replies to technical questions. He can Google, he can find something. So he does have perspective of development. Will you hire such a specialist in your team so that he would be developing himself and then help you?
этот вопрос, потому что
Okay, I will give you the answer to this question because I have the answer to this question. I will definitely hire this person if the person with burning eyes, if he has certain base knowledge on a network system, he has good logic, he can build certain logical line. We're ready to educate this person from the point of view of understanding attacks and in detail have understanding of which logs he should look at and which technique should be applied. I agree. If the person can Google what has to be Googled, definitely I will hire him.
GPT.
And if he knows how to use ChatGPT properly,
мы
do you use it?
недавно кейс, мы
Yeah, we just recently had a case.
скормили, соответственно, виндовые
We gave a Windows event to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT made a mistake in the description of descriptors, but explaining a certain event, and it was not a simple event like launching the process. It was like handlers and things like that, opening handler to an object, and generally speaking, it did describe it in a structured way.
Сисмона или что?
Нет, нет, это
Was it a Sysmon? No, it was a regular journal.
взяли события,
We just took an event, we copied it, Ctrl-C,
да, и она,
and gave it to ChatGPT.
это
And it says, this is ID, this is handler, this is object, this is that. So basically, it looks like a smart Googling. Yes,
важно, она не делает
but it doesn't do the most important thing. It doesn't do interpretation, doesn't explain. Yeah, it's a smart Googling, definitely. If you need a literature text for the report, it's a beautiful source.
А что-нибудь такое более интересное?
It will do the correction. Have you tried to do something more interesting?
есть наши ребята
Well,
из пентестеров,
our guys from pen testers have involved some techniques, and they've done it for the report of Animator technique. Also, they could pull what other events are related to this, but just recently I had a case,
возвращаясь к первому вопросу, я
and I'm returning to the topic number one. I'm asking a question: how can you find yourself an analytic or the engineer, and how can you train this person? Well, nothing new was given to me.
в области
Find the IT guy,
обучить
train him implementation, train him the cyber threats, give him 6-9 months, and then you will have a complete specialist in 9 months.
весело.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
К чат GPT обратился с надеждой,
I went to ChatGPT with the hope that there's going to be something advanced. Nothing new. Nothing new.
Чат GPT, чтобы размапить
Well,
матрицу.
ChatGPT, what you've been giving it, well, the guys in my team were giving them in the order which commands were launched.
Онлайн или что?
да,
So was it command lines? Yeah, exactly. Well, interesting. Command lines. Because not everything can be put in the command line.
мы особо, я
Well,
детали не смогу сказать, потому что
I'm not going to go into details. I understand, okay.
да, да,
Смысл
мы
таких-
пробуем
So it does make sense,
попробовать написать, но, естественно, он без детальных условий все это.
but without detailed conditions, it writes a certain general text. Well, but brute force, it writes that there are certain small limitations to detect the event on the entrance and a certain number of accounts. No more than that. It doesn't add any other conditions, but at least, it's a good help for the new users.
Не начать загружать инсинт респонсов у заказчика. Вот.
Yeah, just don't download sensitive information into it.
Не надо, не надо.
Yeah.
Этот,
No.
блин, мы что-то ушли куда-то
It's like that. Okay, we went into totally different direction, machine learning. Let's go down to basic things.
Нужна автоматизация.
Where do we need automation? At the current stage of development of forensics, investigations, intelligence work, how do you close these needs? Well, the need is not that it's available. It always was available because
Цикл реагирования.
doing all the cycle of incident reaction. Yes, you can do it manually, and if you want it, it will be very long and non-effective. But in principle, historically, it did happen that we have a very big number of commercial tools
Как раз
which help you to collect and do the data processing and automate it. But the analysis, of course, is done by specialists because everybody like say, oh, we have this device which analyzes something and this is AI.
потому что анализ
They are mistaking because analysis, it's a priori a human managed process. Everything else is processing. You can process
данных.
minimal number of data, which has to be analyzed by a person, yes. But
Сокращение,
calling reduction
тебе нужно
of data that you need to analyze,
корректно.
is not a correct statement. But processing, yes, it's a constant,
позволяют тебе
including different means of protection instead of searching for something on the level of host. You have antivirus logs, EDR, events,
защиты уже были внедрены, и ты можешь ими воспользоваться.
which means of protection have been implemented and which you can use. Well, even here, you have this automation which is going to help you. Yeah, this is more related to continuous monitoring story around SOCs, but this is a question when something has happened
Там или
and close to SOR or XDR or something like that.
автоматизация уже проведение расследования.
Automation and investigation.
Ничего же не к расследованию, да?
Well, SOR is not investigation. SOR is the first part, reaction.
Первое, что надо, что там цикличное,
Ну,
как мы
всё так.
But it's cyclic. Yes, we understand EDR is much closer, but in the part, if you load these logs collected that were collected in framework of forensics, and on the basis of some preset rules when you try to understand something and discover something, but then afterwards you will have to analyze and you will have to understand whether this was some incident or maybe there was some fail. You don't understand it, and you have to analyze this. If there would be a tool like that, we wouldn't be sitting here.
Да,
Ну,
пока
знаешь,
That's true. That's true.
у чат GPT что-то надо.
And ask something from ChatGPT. Okay, build me this software. No, please do it.
Игорь, что
Смотри,
думаешь?
да, нет,
Igor, what do you think about it? Yes, I agree with Oleg about collection and processing. And this automation exists for quite a while, and nobody goes manually to files and doesn't do any copying. Then everything else,
складывается, опять же, как мы возвращаемся на шаг назад к интерпретации.
we are coming back to interpretation. But what do we have in the interpretation? There are two stories we participate. A, when you speak about monitoring, we know something about infrastructure. B, we come to somebody else's infrastructure and we know nothing. But what is the problem of AI application?
Зрение хорошо-плохо на внутренних данных, потому что, как мы все знаем, один
Because as we all know, one process started in one infrastructure
СОАРа заложил
because the vendor of SOR
и не переписал.
has impacted and
Ну да.
didn't write a pipe, and detects are available in another infrastructure. It will be bad, and the machine will not come and ask you from SOR development, not from the administrator.
Здесь и оно,
And this application,
ну, об этом речь не идет.
Ну, в общем,
well, we're not speaking about it.
вот, во-первых,
Well, some individual approach destroys everything in this automation because all the time we have to approach this individually. There are different infrastructures. Somewhere there are no data sources. And some automations. Do you use any of them for reactions and things like that? Do you have any stories like that? Yes.
Любое коммерческое
At least any commercial software for the forensics allows you to add functionality which will automate the whole process for you before you will need to analyze anything. Well, it's understandable when you speak about some parsing and removal of certain artifacts. It's a basic story which is like 20 years old and everybody uses it, and everybody does it in hex reductor editor manually. Yeah.
там автоматизация. Все
But from the point of view of automation, something else, for example, somewhere something has to be picked up and found. Yeah. But from the point of view of automation, yes. And then if we are speaking about attacks,
довольно большой набор
you have a big set of tools and artifacts. You can have a certain knowledge base that you applied. At least we've been doing it like that. And you applied it to these commercial tools, and they are parsing everything. And then these low-hanging fruits,
связанные с
which are most likely related with certain stages of kill chain that was related by criminal, some tools, some artifactors which show implementation of certain tool or some potentially malicious codes. It can filter all of these and give you this set of those things which most likely will be malicious, and then you can work with it.
Поправляя Олега, то, что мы
So correcting Oleg, what are we waiting from
вот это принятие
AI? This is being done by humans.
это плохо. Оно
Yes, decision that this is good and this is bad. This decision is made by analytic, and we don't give it to AI.
что вот
Well, experiments they do show us that automatically there will be a lot of false truths. You will have a lot of false sleeps or too few of those things which had to be detected. So it's very hard to balance between them. And this golden middle between these two entities is an analytical work. And for a long period of time, it will be analytical work. But can we divide it that you can automate what can be automated and what cannot be automated? Some specific points which theoretically cannot be automated.
Сбор данных и процессинг.
Так,
Well, data collection and processing, it's automation. Analysis, never, never. Analysis assumes human brain. If we assume that we have a collection and processing and a certain result, we say that, well, our software processed these results and here's your result. But if we're speaking about analysis, you cannot automate analysis. You just defend your place.
тогда нет?
That otherwise nobody will need us. Yes, nobody will need me.
Ну да, ты
На самом-
хитрый разведчик.
На самом деле,
Помню.
You,
будем
honestly,
какая-то волшебная была.
they will need us for a while. And even if there will be some miraculous balalaika, you will have to tune it up for every case, for every client. That's why answering your question, will they need us or will not they need us? But Oleg have displayed it in great detail, which stages are being automated right now.
Анализ, да, действительно,
So it's enough of analysis.
да, анализ от потерь.
Maybe it's some additional analysis. This is processing, this is not analysis.
Какие-то, может, есть
Well,
нововведения, может,
maybe there are some innovations in the area of behaviors. Maybe neural network can be connected to something. Where could you use the neural network in the process of investigation and reaction?
Что Олег про это рассказал,
Well, I think that Oleg told you about that.
как-то разобрали.
When data was collected and filtered,
Соответственно, ну, понятно, что смотреть на них
then it's understandable. It's very difficult to look at them just like that. As any investigator, you want to find a point for which you can
мы можем какие-то просто известные
hook. And you can take some well-known models. The basic one
и процесса, ну, то есть там
is a parent process and child process. The simplest thing. We can do this automatically, and we have to feed the AI with all this information. And like Oleg says, and then it will detect something in big amounts, in small amounts, whatever. But afterwards, the analytical work is to help this auto detector to find out what is good and what is bad.
возвращаясь к того,
And then coming back to your question,
ее, ну, там,
this neural network can be trained that this is good and this is bad, and it will give you some threshold value which can be divided. But as my colleague said previously, this will also be a tool where analytic will have to move these threshold values because A, you can receive a lot of cells, and B, you can miss something critical.
Один момент.
And I wanted to add some other moment. If we assume that our neural network without access to external means, and you can use it for reporting, and I think that neural network can help us with reporting. So you're analytic, you collected some raw data, command lines, and some basic way you have conducted the description, and then they can do the mapping of attacks and
Chain, да, когда у тебя
glue a kill chain out of it when the data from different parts is being collected, something like that. Well, for the reporting, not all analytics love to write. For the report writing, that's a good one. And report writing is a part of reaction.
И основной-
Well, that's the main part of report writing. No, I will ask the question differently. Okay, coming back to the first question, which skills you should have to make reporting?
действительно
Are you confident that you are able to bring detective in a space with computers, the one which is involved in forensics, and his competency there should be reporting? We cannot give away this reporting.
к человеку
If the requirements to a person who's been hired to write good reports. No, there are no such requirements.
у него может
смотря
быть,
какой это
он
человек.
может быть
смотря какая
въедливый, у него
позиция.
Depending on the person. It could be in-depth person with a good technical background and specific mind, but it's going to be difficult to find a man who can translate from this language into a beautiful report.
Всё
Yeah.
верифицировать, вот, валидировать. У нас есть вот
But
этот
how can this be validated and verified? We have this filter, this ML, which has found something in amount of data, but how can we verify this data
не упустили.
so that we don't miss anything? Analysis.
Автоматизировали.
Но
Yes, we have automated something, we have processed something, we have received a minimal data set, not just a minimal data set, but lesser than if it wasn't us who automated it. So we save our analytic time for analysis of all of this.
А анализ оттуда выкинуть не
Не,
получится.
погоди,
Его можно
смотри.
You will not be able to throw away this analysis.
То, что
You're
она...
right.
Я с этим
You're right.
абсолютно согласен.
And I will agree with you.
Я говорю о том, что
You have filtered it.
вот это
But how can you understand that this filtered information does not miss anything and there is some additional data? Well, this is the main reason why I am here and I'm ready to say that you cannot use it for reaction. Why? Because as we know, any missed story, it's a return to moral, it's a business process violation to moral, etc. Yes.
Важная причина,
And this is the only reason why AI will not guarantee you the result during the reaction,
мы можем уже какой-то
because we can investigate some incident today, but the main idea and main demand, main request with which any business, any client come to you, how can we do it in such a way so that this would not be repeated for the second time? So the AI, from this point of view, well, it cannot do this, take this responsibility. That's my answer.
может стать помощником.
Why it can become assistant, but again, analytical worker should verify this somehow,
сказали, что вот и
like you've said.
тебе не
And it allows you to get certain lines from which you will do your analysis.
ты условно будешь
It's like not the whole raw data will be analyzed by you, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then from that you start pulling it out, and that's the work of analytic.
Вдруг у нас разные зрители, и это
Well, maybe we have different viewers, but this is the main question for all the enemies of AI. Half of humanity says that it will replace, another half says that it should be an assistant, and this is something we speak about. And right now, it looks more like an assistant. So we don't say that specialists have to be replaced. But do you do some retraining? Maybe you retrain, get some knowledge in the area of machine learning, or maybe your employees dive deeper into neural networks in practical experience. Do they do that?
Ну, да,
They don't have time.
в целом,
It's the problem number one. And generally speaking, we are looking this direction. We have people who are engineers
они так или иначе много кодят,
and they code a lot. They do have a lot of settings and integration. They look in the direction of ML. There is a scope of objectives aimed at what we've been saying in the part of initial reaction when our classical conveyor of incident processing is being used. Also, we look in the direction of
форензист,
assistance to our forensics and providing them with a certain tool. But right now, only on the stage of let's think about it, let's fly in space. What if?
ML, когда приходит или общаешься с человеком,
When the ML comes and I'm working with a person who does ML, what did you need? I say,
балалайка, в которую
okay, I have this balalaika into which you can download a week of any data, timeline to collect, and then next week, and then show a diff. Well, I dream about things like that.
мы, знаешь, как мы,
Well, I will give something
когда ты
to this. I will reply. When you speak with data scientists, the main problem is the context.
мы
Give him the context and explain it. And very often we've used approach when we've tried.
чисто и научить его, мы
Data scientists, you cannot teach them. We try to take the forensics and teach him doing that. Well, it didn't work. It didn't work. It doesn't work.
потребовало пол,
Because it will require absolute reconnection and diving completely with the head.
к сожалению, к радости.
Unfortunately or fortunately, we can take two Python frameworks or maybe something else and then try to work with it. It didn't fly, it didn't work. And our story that we take information security specialists and we try to teach him with something new. No, it doesn't work like that. So most likely we are moving like everybody else that it has to be a separate direction for data scientists work and interactively they will get involved in this data collect and then write pure mathematics.
тема очень интересная. У нас тут была
Okay, another interesting topic. We had a discussion about
то есть вот ребята
how can we apply it.
на обучение
For example, guys use AI for playbook generation.
можно ли это
How do you look at playbooks by generation, by reaction? Well, this is something standard, something common. Well, it works pretty well on the standard level. Why did I speak about reports? Because when you need some complicated text,
в моментах использовали там
and in some moments we've been using, well, somebody have blocked a lot of accounts and you had to write
вот разблокировать,
to some lawyers, please unblock my account because and I use ChatGPT to make this letter available, and they reply very fast to it because it beautifully in standard statements it's being done. And if there is something standard that can be described in general words, it does it beautifully. So if we speak about playbooks, general playbooks,
вполне себе может получиться.
basic playbooks, it can work, but on the basic level. On the other side, if there are certain details, why do we need a basic playbooks? Because everybody knows what to do approximately.
Ну, смотри,
They already are available
давай так.
because it's not forensics.
Знает, что делать форензик. СОАР все-таки...
Forensics know what to do, but SOAR it's a different audience. This is back to the question why. And I will tell you to your previous question, yes, I agree with the fact that
Может
ML can write a playbook, but I disagree with the fact that this playbook can be applied anywhere else. So, yes,
опять не учитывает.
because it doesn't take into consideration realities of the infrastructure or business processes.
Просто как
It
совет
only helps as an advisor.
на подобную атаку реагировали, например.
And how did we react to similar attack previously?
Есть шаблон,
Template. Yeah, you have a template, and afterwards, instead of describing some basic things, you take this template and then add some detail to it. And that's how it works.
Дискуссии мы
Replace GIP. During the previous discussion, we came to the situation that the first line can sleep peacefully.
вот, а
The first line of defense.
дискуссии мы при...
Yeah, yeah.
Ребята сейчас
в плане того, что их не уволят. Спать, да, конечно же, не надо.
Yeah, you don't have to sleep. You have to be aware. But in this discussion, we came to the fact that line 2, line 3,
Это не грозит.
they still will not be replaced by AI. Humans are always needed. Thank you very much for listening to us.
Залевский, Олег
Igor Zalevsky, Alex Kulkin, and Rinat Sagirov were with you. Thank you very much. Goodbye and have a good day.